Is there anything creepier than a frozen Ferris wheel or creaking roller coaster track? At these abandoned theme parks, there's no fun to be had. Some are left to rot and ruin after natural disasters, while others suffered nuclear catastrophe or financial struggle. Who'd have guessed that places meant to bring fun and laughter could end up being so lonely and deserted, frightening? Stay tuned because we'll discuss 10 abandoned amusement parks today. Remember to hit the like button. Let's get started by subscribing and clicking the notification bell for more awesome videos. Number 10. Six Flags New Orleans, Louisiana, USA. Our list of closed and abandoned amusement parks starts with Six Flags in New Orleans. If you know something about New Orleans, Louisiana, you know that there are a lot more ghost stories about the city than you might think. The abandoned Six Flags is coincidentally one of the most haunted places in the city, according to local legend. Hurricane Katrina destroyed the park, which was originally known as Jazzland, in 2005. The destructive storm destroyed 80% of the park. For over a month, there was 4 to 7 feet of standing water, and it was never able to reopen. Since then, a number of people, including sightseers and nostalgic locals, have claimed to see unusual sights while visiting New Orleans Six Flags, which oddly also makes it a prominent tourist destination. People have mentioned feeling watched, hearing metal banging sounds, and even hearing motors start up on a regular basis. It's not always abandoned, though, as the park occasionally sees life as a filming location. Blockbusters such as Jurassic World and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes have been filmed there. There have been talks of redeveloping the park, but nothing has ever stuck. And in 2019, the mayor said they were considering demolition. Today, though, it still stands as an example of the devastation inflicted by Hurricane Katrina. Number 9. Daddy Park, Belgium. The grounds where the park once stood are located in Belgium, near the French border, and were first opened in 1950 as a church playground. In the 1980s, what had started out as a simple place for neighborhood and visiting children to play was upgraded significantly, with the inclusion of amusement park rides like bumper cars, swings, and slides. It also had Europe's longest suspension bridge walkway at the time, extending around a half a mile. However, as time passed, maintenance for the rides declined, and the park's downfall was caused by a series of tragic accidents. The most notable incident happened when a 9-year-old boy was injured while riding the Nordic Jet, one of the park's most famous rides. The bulk of the rides and attractions have been removed from the park. Number 8. Land of Oz. Our next abandoned theme park is Beach Mountain in North Carolina, where the Wizard of Oz was the obvious theme in 1970. The idea was for tourists to dress up as Dorothy and ride down the yellow brick road and experience the thrills of a simulated tornado before arriving in Emerald City. Doesn't that sound like a lot of fun? It was for if you were born in the 1960s. I doubt today's millennials even know what the Wizard of Oz is, and the park only lasted 10 years before closing permanently in 1980. Today, however, the park appears to be a creepy place, with the yellow brick road looking pitiful and some of the remaining elements, such as the figures attached to the trees, looking positively demonic. However, there is a happy ending to this story because in the late 1900s, former park employees started reuniting at the park once a year, and the event was called the Autumn of Oz because it was open to the public. Number 7. Gullivers Kingdom, Japan. This next entry is a little creepy. Undoubtedly one of the strangest theme parks to ever be dreamed into existence, Gullivers Kingdom, built in the shadow of Mount Fuji in Japan, was an amusement park inspired by the 18th century satire Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. The park opened in 1997 in Kuchiki, Yamanashi Prefecture, Japan, and closed in 2001 after just 4 years of poor ticket sales. The lack of revenue, on the other hand, was most likely due to the park's location rather than the park itself. It's situated at Aoki Gojira, also known as Japan's Suicide Forest. You can probably guess why the forest is popular and add it to why parkgoers might have stayed as far away from the areas as humanly possible. Gullivers Kingdom was then demolished in 2007, leaving just concrete slabs and exposed foundations where the creepy Gulliver's statue once lay. Number 6. Disney's River Country. Up next, we have Disney's River Country. Disney's River Country was added to Walt Disney World in Florida back in 1976, and it was celebrated as Disney's first ever water park. The park usually closed down at the end of the season in 2001, but it never reopened in 2002. Initially, reports of a restoration circled the air, but in 2005, the Walt Disney Company formally declared the park permanently closed. No one knows what caused it to shut down. Some argue that after 9/11, the corporation actually had to make some financial cuts around the board, so staff hours were shortened and work on certain projects was stopped. Others claim that the reason was the rare and deadly disease amoebic meningitis, but neither of those theories have ever been proved. Number 5. Nara Dreamland, Japan. Our next trip will take us to Japan. In 1961, Nara Dreamland, a theme park modeled after Disneyland in California, opened its doors. Nara Dreamland closed in 2006 due to low attendance. And while some would assume that the rides would be sold or the land would be cleared or used for something else, the park remains closed and abandoned to this day, as do several other parks in today's countdown. Urban explorers are often apprehended by officials after repeatedly breaking through and walking and creeping through the deserted grounds, but the truly bizarre aspect of Nara Dreamland is that it is a blatant and unapologetic ripoff of Disneyland, from the fake Sleeping Beauty castle to the Tea Party Cup ride to Main Street. Number 4, Space City, USA. The amusement park in what would be Huntsville, Alabama, lasted officially 0 years since it was never finished. The proposals were drawn up in the 1960s and included a park that would have rivaled the size of Disneyland in the United States at the time. In a Skyway ride, it was appropriate to show a glass bottom to boat a so-called lunar restaurant that was shaped like a mushroom. There were various themed areas in the works, all of which would have been technologically advanced for their time, such as a Lost World with dinosaurs, a moon-like experience simulation, and even a Land of Oz. The park generated a lot of buzz, and local teens were particularly excited to have such a powerful park so close to home. However, the park was never built because it was too costly to produce. Number 3, Freedomland. Up next, we take a trip to the East Coast where Freedomland USA was another short-lived theme park. Its theme was American history, and when it opened in 1960, it was the world's largest amusement park, stretching over 205 acres and featuring over 8 miles of river rides. The park cost $65 million to construct 80 years ago, but if it were built today, it would cost about $568 million. As with so many other amusement parks in history, money management was what ruined Freedomland. When the park first opened, children could get an all-day ticket for only $1.50. However, the park went bankrupt in 1964 and was demolished in 1965 after sitting empty for just a year. Number 2, Pripyat Amusement Park, Ukraine. This now derelict amusement park tells a wider, more tragic story than just a few abandoned Ferris wheels. Located in Pripyat, Ukraine, the park was one of the many areas of the city to be left behind by residents after the devastating Chernobyl disaster in 1986. The explosion halted the park's opening, which was supposed to take place just 4 days later, and so it was left to be swallowed by nature. Over 30 years on, the rides are covered in rust and there's not a soul to be seen. Its rusting Ferris wheels become a symbol of the disaster, standing motionless in the abandoned city, which is much like a ghost town, except for the occasional tour group exploring to understand the catastrophe for themselves. Number 1, Joyland Amusement Park, Kansas, USA. Our final clip of the day takes us to the largest city in the U.S. state of Kansas. It's a shame that a place with a name like Joyland isn't giving anyone much joy these days. But hey, that's just how life goes sometimes. Joyland, which opened in 1949 and closed in 2004 in Wichita, Kansas, was the first amusement park in the United States. The shutdown was stated as the result of financial difficulties and failing equipment that raised safety concerns. Joyland was a large amusement park with 24 attractions, including a roller coaster installed in 1949 and a massive military band organ. It's also been mentioned that groups are still trying to raise money to buy renovation rights for this particular section, but no decision has been made yet. Who knew there were so many abandoned amusement parks out there? Which of these on today's list piqued your interest the most, and which one would you visit if you had the chance? Do let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching the video, and please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon. We'll see you again in the next one.